The definitive edition of Hogwarts Legacy. Is it still happening? Is it even real? If it is real, why we still haven't seen it 2 years after the release of the game? And if it is real, what is it supposed to be? Those are the type of question Hogwarts Legacy fans are asking right now. I'm asking this question. I'm really confused because we are now almost a year since the rumor has started about the director's cut, and we still haven't had any substantial confirmation coming from the developers about the existence of this definitive edition / director's cut / DLC. Well, luckily, we have Jason Schreier, a great insider and video games journalist, who has given some hope. Jason Schreier has appeared on an interview of a show recently where he talked about different topics about the gaming situation in Warner Brothers in general, specifically around Monolith, because it was shut down and it sent shockwaves across gaming industry. And he did mention Hogwarts Legacy a couple of times in regards to Hogwarts Legacy sequel, in regards to the fact that it is real. He talked about the expectations that the company has for the sequel. There was a mention of the topic Hogwarts Legacy 2 and live service games, but we're going to be talking about that in a different, separate video because what he said there is crucial and it needs a close look. But at the very end, he mentioned something very specific, that the definitive edition plus DLC is still happening. We're going to get to this. We're going to examine all of the information. We're going to get to the bottom of this because we cannot wait any longer. Let's get into the depth of this topic. But first, I would like to recap a little bit our knowledge about the definitive edition and where it started. So, originally, in June 2024, around the time when Hogwarts Legacy's summer update was coming around with Haunted Hogsmeade Shop Quest, a rumor started that Hogwarts Legacy may get a director's cut. This was published by Bloomberg, I believe. It said that many of the studio's employees are now helping to develop a new director's cut version of Hogwarts Legacy. At the same time, according to people familiar, the studio leaders are looking to pitch a new single-player game which would return Rocksteady to its roots. Jason Schreier in the interview mentioned briefly about this. It looks like Rocksteady is working on another Batman game, but that's a different topic. Then later, as we fast forward to fall of 2024, Insider Gaming gave this article. Insider Gaming understands that a Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition is in development. Its content will be sold as a separate DLC for those with the existing game. And now we know for sure, well, not for sure, but we know that the director's cut then became the definitive edition, but it's still, even though the name changes slightly, but it is still carries the same weight and the same similar meaning of what we will be getting, because here's a better explanation. The definitive edition is said to have around 10 to 15 hours of additional content with new story quests, side quests, activities, and outfits. Details on when the edition and or DLC will be released and its price are still in flux. Still, some sources have suggested that it could be released in 2025 to bolster Warner Bros.' diminishing gaming revenue following the weak performance of Suicide Squad. It's been suggested that the DLC will be between $20 and $30. Up until now, this was the only information that we had about the definitive edition, right? It's this substantial information where we see details like there's going to be a story, side quests, activities, that there's a price coming with it. But the important thing I would like to point out that it does say and or DLC. It wasn't clear still what it is going to be, because when you talk about definitive edition or director's cut, it implies that certain features that were cut out from the game are going to be brought back with this new pack. And it's in the definitive edition sometimes seems that it's a free thing, right? It's an update. It's something that you just get, right? And that happened, I believe, in Ghost of Tsushima. But no, there's also a price with it. And that this information with the pricing now aligns better with what Jason Schreier said on Friday.
But yes,
Fair
there's
enough.
a new Lego game coming imminently. There's also, by the way, there's like that Harry Potter definitive edition with DLC thing that is coming as well. So there are a couple of things. There's also that Game of Thrones like weird mobile.
Just naturally, just casually, just drops that in. This whole conversation is just all about different things, but he just casually drops that in. Let me. So he was talking about, because they were asking him like, is there anything else that are in development? He mentioned some Lego game that is in development, not a remaster, not whatever, but a substantial from TT Games, right? Which hopefully could be a brand new Harry Potter game. It would be awesome. let me make the discussion broader so you get the context where it came from.
Bander SN, I'm sorry, said anything about TT Games. We didn't cover that.
Yes.
Jason, what's going on with TT Games? Obviously, I know Arthur Parsons and a whole bunch of them left. They went and made that Funko game that was not great, and I don't hear anything about the Lego franchise anymore from them.
Yeah, they actually are one of the few studios in the umbrella that has a game coming in the near future. They do have a Lego game coming. I believe it's for next year. I could be misremembering. It's either later this year or next year. I think next year. But yeah, there is a new Lego game coming. I won't blow up their spot and say what it is. But yes, there's a new Lego game coming imminently. There's also, by the way, there's like that Harry Potter definitive edition with DLC thing that is coming as well. So there are a couple of things. There's also that Game of Thrones like weird mobile game that was announced at the Game Awards.
That has like everybody in it. Yeah, we were all mentioning that casually.
Very
yesterday.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, a few important things to point out. He says the definitive edition plus DLC thing. So those are two things that he mentions specifically.
That Harry Potter definitive edition with DLC thing that is coming as well.
Harry Potter definitive edition with DLC is coming as well. He says it very confidently, but of course, Harry Potter, he meant Hogwarts Legacy, but definitive edition with DLC. What does that mean? Because, but it does connect to the rumor, to what I believe he stated before back in October, talking about different prices, $20 to $30 with quests, with new story, outfits, etc. Right? So with this, I believe we have enough reason to still expect a definitive edition, whatever DLC, in probably this year. It is a good chance we're still gonna get it like fall 2025. This thing might be announced like in a month. Now, of course, that is something that has been touched during the interview, that the things they can change a lot. They're fluid, because look at Wonder Woman, right? Things can get canceled, things can happen. But at this point, Warner Brothers, or like Harry Potter IP, is one of their leading focus at the moment. So, considering that nothing else made them money, and that whatever games they're making are years away from being released, including Hogwarts Legacy 2, they need something right now to somehow, get themselves out of the ditch that Suicide Squad put them in, Gotham Knights put them in. Unfortunately, for me to say this, Quidditch Champions have put them in. So, but of course, the question is, why stretch it out so much? Because we are 2 years after the release. Like, usually DLCs come out like, I don't know, like a few months after the release of the game, while the game is still relevant, while everyone is still like playing it, talking about it, right? They kind of drop this in. To answer this, I think this summer update, kind of did that. It wasn't super mega huge thing in terms of, like, it wasn't a DLC, a brand new DLC. It was new for everyone who was not on PlayStation, right? The exclusivity. But by the way, exclusivity, I think, is playing the role here. But I will just bear with me. Right? But it created this noise, right? People got reminded about Hogwarts Legacy. And I know from the numbers went up of players playing Hogwarts Legacy after that update, even though it felt not that big because many people have already played that quest. It's still, the numbers went up. Same thing now with mods. And I'm sure a lot of people have thought maybe this mod integration is or was the definitive edition. But no, this is, with this statement from Jason Schreier, we can clearly say that mods are mods, because also that is something that is made by people like you. You can make a mod. You can go ahead and participate in a competition and get yourself a cash prize. Before we jump into the reasons why their restriction is for so long, and I think that ties back to Hogwarts Legacy sequel, I want to talk about briefly what is this definitive edition with DLC can imply. So, definitive, as already mentioned, definitive edition with its name, it implies that it will be bringing features that were originally cut out from the game, like the companions, like certain quests. I made a video about hidden spells where there are traces of morality system, there are traces of relationships, there are traces of a house point system. So maybe more classes, more elaborate classes, like there are traces of schedules and stuff like that. So, but that thing, those are the mechanics that will change the way you play the game, but the content would be the same, right? It would be kind of the same stories, but then the DLC is usually what brings significant, expansions, like a new map. Not just one dungeon, but a number of dungeons, right? It's a new storyline quest. I talked about different options that we might have. For example, the story about the werewolf. There's a werewolf room in Hogwarts. On one hand, it looks like just a fun little Easter egg room with mini story, but at the same time, it looks like there's deep background there. There's some storytelling elements that I think that room was meant for something more than just an Easter egg. I believe there was like a quest linked to it. Another one is the Dementors, right? They're in the poster. They're in front of us, and they are only seen by Hufflepuffs. Maybe the Dementors were meant to work as the police in some capacity, where if you do crimes, if there was also a morality system, then you commit crimes, you do bad stuff, you use unforgivable spells, or not only unforgivable spells, you are massacring everyone, then the mentors are looking for you and you have to deal with them. And you also get expected patronum with that, right? So there are many things that can happen with this definitive edition, with this DLC, where we're going to get a substantial expansion and a substantial reason to go play the game. And I think if whatever this new update, whatever this new edition is going to be priced, I think that will turn many heads. Even considering the fact that we're 2 years away from the release of the game. The bottom line is, it is still happening. The definitive edition, the DLC, is still coming our way. If you remember about mod support, it was announced, and like the same week, the mods came to reality in just a couple of days. So they might go about this in the same way, but at the same time, I think if it is a DLC, it will need more marketing. It will need a little bit more of marinating of the audience, of the public, so they get ready for the release. So I think they will try to do like a mini re-release of the game. Why? I'll tell you why. Because making a Hogwarts Legacy sequel matters a lot, both to Avalanche and to Warner Brothers, because they are realistically looking at the fact that it will not sell as well as the first game did, because something that Jason also mentioned in the interview, that at this point we don't have these incredibly starved fans of Harry Potter who who never had that experience of going into Hogwarts, of being sorted into their house and going into their common room, seeing them for the very first time, right? And seeing Hogwarts and beyond Hogwarts in this immense detail with good gameplay, right? That was the first thing. We have that already, right? And so whatever the sequel brings, it might not work in the same way. Of course, it might as well make the same amount of money, but realistically speaking, it may not do the same sales. But still, they want to try to make the sequel as best as possible so it does try to reach those numbers. So it doesn't underperform, basically. And to do that, they cannot simply bring Expecto Patronum in a sequel. They cannot bring only just one little improvement, and that's that. They will have a substantial improvement of the from the original game, right? That will build upon what they've built before and expand on different mechanics, which is fantastic. Usually, sequels are much better than their first games, but here it will require a lot of work to bring stuff. I believe that will include places like London, its entire map, places like Ministry of Magic, and it's not just Diagon Alley and just visit there, but know that there's a whole system, the whole good reason to be going there, to expand in your ways of exploration as a wizard or as a witch or wizard in the wizarding world, right? And that requires a lot of time. A lot of time. It's not that, making games, bringing new features takes a lot of experimentation, a lot of testing, a lot of guessing, and they don't want to rush with it. But there's another factor that plays in here. I believe the reason behind stretching this time, behind reminding people with these DLCs and pushing the release further and further is exclusivity. I believe PlayStation is about to tighten its grip on Hogwarts Legacy more than it did before. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about in another video because it requires a dedicated deep dive. So guys, hop on in there once it is released. And thank you so much for hanging out. Let me know about what is your take on this definitive edition. What do you think is going to be released in it? What is this definitive edition with DLC? Leave it all in the comments. But for now, guys, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, and all the other buttons of that nature. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.